fix that. walls. There we go. All right, guys, welcome into the podcast. This has been a long time coming. Thank you, Nordic, for bringing in the most delicious waffle haze. A callback to the waffle haze. This was Watermelon's D&D stream. We fed our centaur the finest of hay, and in last Saturday's episode we turned that hay into waffles. So he's been walking around with hay waffles for the last little bit. It's pretty fantastic, pretty fantastic. All right, well, let's get down to get started here. My name is Kula Monster Gamer. You can call me Kula. It has been. Are you muted on Discord? Oh man. I can't help if you're muted on Discord. Well, hold on. Hold on. It might be me. I can't, hold on. Alright,
it's not a true stream, it's the scuff stream.
I know, you gotta scuff everything to start. Go ahead, say something.
Okay, I think I can be heard now.
There we go. All right, so once again, my name is Kula Monster Gaming, and I'm joined by my co-host
Gibbles Destruct. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch. You can also find me on TikTok with Tree Bard. It's a bunch of like nature walks. I rarely pump that one. Turn your phone. My phone isn't on. What are you talking about? It is on silent. I'll show like. It's on vibrate. So no.
All right. All right, guys. So today we are going to be talking about a few things. Topic of overview for today, as this title has stated, is can Final Fantasy XIV keep it up with the content between now and Dawn Trail, which has been slated for. It's not my phone anymore. I just muted mine. Are you sure it's on a phone where you're working? I'm just kidding. Can it keep up the content between now and Dawn Trail, which is slated to come out sometime in the summer of 2024? A lot of us expect that to be 8 months or so from now. It's a long time. It's a long time with only one last half patch to come out between now and then. We'll get into some discussions on what we think if they can survive the drought and keep players subscribed. Our second topic for today is I don't have his alerts, so if they're on, the sound's turned off.
I mean, my alerts should be working.
Well, your alerts won't work on my stream unless I have your link for them. But we'll look at it. Anyways, our second topic for today is player griefing and blacklisting and cheating. There's been some stuff that's kind of popped up that has kind of caused some people to ask that question of whether Square Enix is doing enough to be able to kind of stave that off.
Some very hot topics.
Some super hot topics for episode 1. Gotta get into the hot stuff. But before we start that, we're gonna jump into some news. We are gonna go over a little bit of old news because this is the first episode and we haven't been able to talk about stuff, so we want to get ourselves up to date with the new and latest and greatest things in Final Fantasy or things to come. But a new one this week, the old pizza emote has been released as a purchasable emote on the Mog Station. This is causing a lot of drama because it was a $15 GitHub promotional a couple years ago, and some players ended up spending over $100 on the emote when they bought it on eBay because they were unable to do GitHub, or to do Grubhub, excuse me, and so that's been a big topic of contention because of it being a $7 emote off of a $15 purchase. Little piece of news for number 2, cloud server testing starts today. So if you're interested in being a part of the cloud server testing that they are doing, it starts today, works its way through to November 27th. Anybody who joins gets access to all 80 battle gear, as well as all leveled classes to 80, being able to start in Endwalker and push their way through. You also get 50 million gil and a couple of other items to go with it. Those items are not transferable off onto a different server. Once you use the money, you lose it, and once the server sets its end, it is gone. We're gonna change things up a little bit with a little bit of video. What's going on, Rex? We got some video on the new class announced, Viper. It's a dual wielding sword class where they connect the swords from the base and causes it to do a bunch of whirly fun stuff.
I am so excited. It's a trick weapon
so
from
good.
Bloodborne.
It looks so good.
Like it's actually a trick weapon from Bloodborne. I'm so excited.
It is actually a trick weapon. It looks really good.
I also love that there's a lot of like lightning abilities that go on with it, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks like it's well polished. It was like we thought it was gonna be like a swashbuckler or like a pirate or a corsair, but they ended up just kind of taking it in a different direction.
I mean, it's a welcome one, to be honest.
For sure, it looks really good.
Because I mean, we all expected after the first trailer that it was gonna have a second weapon that we just didn't see in the first trailer. But no, I don't think anyone expected the twin blade connection.
All right, our next little piece of video today is there's a massive graphics update coming to 7.0. We'll discuss a little bit of the system requirement changes that they're going to be bringing to the game as well, but I wanted to give a little taste of what they have been working on. It looks really pretty. I'm actually really excited for this portion of it. If the video will play, come on now.
There we go.
Hold on, I'll restart it. There we go.
Did you see the section they showed in the EU FanFest?
This is the EU FanFest stuff, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If it would stop freezing on me, come on now, video. First one ran fine. This one's giving us a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I didn't fully watch the EU FanFest, but I know they like really focused on like the difference in this like little like blemish on a Lolafel's face.
Yeah.
And it was, everyone made fun of him for it. Still stuttering, yeah. It doesn't want to play.
Is it actually not playing? I was gonna say, is it actually playing? Because it's not playing for me. You bring the
I can't. I'm only seeing it from the.
I got the music, but it's not playing the content. I don't care about
visual.
the music.
That's a problem that just YouTube has in general sometimes.
I think this is where it really shines, though. The changes that they've made is just the content changes in the arenas. Like the facial feature stuff is kind of cool, but like, and I wish this video showed more of it off better. But I promise by the next time we do this podcast, we pull videos, it's going to be a lot smoother. I'm not sure why it's playing like crap right now, but
the hair was definitely one of the big differennes. If you can just look into different, that would be pretty well. Yeah, 100% Rex. That was one of the points that they talked about a lot on it. Was they wanted to not ruin the way your character looked. They wanted to keep the character aesthetic without while updating the graphics at the same time.
Yeah, I think what they had done, and we'll push on through to the system requirement changes because I think that's going to be more important to this. I think the big thing that they did was they had talked about some of that, about that being an issue, and I think that what they had kind of decided on was giving people the option to kind of stick with the way their character, like they didn't make any like big like facial structure changes, right? So They everything like structurally will be the same. I think they're just smoothing out some of the models, but then they're adding more face options. Was the other thing that they had mentioned, was adding more face options.
I didn't hear the face options one. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because with the new builds they can do more things, so they were going to be willing to add. They were potentially willing to add more stuff. So I think that's the big takeaway. All right, but big changes. No operating system changes. A little bit of a processor change. So we do need a little bit more processor on your machine. We moved from 8 gigs to 16 gigs of RAM, which, to be fair, like most gaming rigs nowadays are coming with 32, so 16 is a drop in the bucket, well, half of what you need. It's even more than enough. And then moving to an NVIDIA 2060 or 5600 Radeon versus the 97 and 480. I think this is a welcome change amongst the community. I think a lot of people's machines are at or well above this that are, you know.
And yes, Rex, this is the minimum requirement. This is what's going forward, minimum and recommended.
So I apologize. These are minimum and recommended. So I think this is all good stuff for the game overall. I think obviously you want the game to have a better life cycle. Being able to bring graphic updates is going to help do that. Making things look better, making all those pixels look nicer, and then obviously still looking at whatever hard drive space it takes to run the game.
I feel like the recommended like GPU and stuff like that, those are definitely ones that you can pick up really cheap and easy right now. But like at like 8 gigs of RAM, like the picking up a pre-built and stuff like that, you're pretty much getting 8 gigs of RAM for like $1,000 right now. So that's kind of.
No, most gaming rigs on $1,000 are getting at least 16. I think you're all right on that front. I mean, like we spend the machines that we're buying. I think are more than capable of running 16, and if not, I don't think getting new RAM is going to throw you back a bunch. It's a couple $100, honestly.
Oh yeah, no, RAM is getting really cheap right now.
All right, and that's let me see if I got anything else on here. So the massive graphic update that we're looking at, it's going to be great. We do have, with EU, they announced the release of the Xbox edition. My opinion on this is, I think you're a little too late to the game at this point, right? I mean, anybody who wants to play the game, that was on an Xbox player, you're 10 years in, they would have found another way to either play it or, if they really wanted to play it, they would have figured out another way. So I don't see this as a massive swing. I mean, you're going to get some people who really didn't care, but now they can. But I don't think this is going to be this big, massive swing of users that I think Final Fantasy was hoping for. I don't think it's going to be like a big massive swing,
but the big thing is that you need to keep on creating new opportunities for new players to join in.
Sure, and I think that's what this does very well. I just don't think that. I think if they were thinking that they were gonna see a ton of people, I don't think they'll put it on Game Pass. I just don't. With the game being a sub, your subscription by itself on Game Pass is less than what this is.
I mean, the base game is you still have to pay for the base game, so there's a little difference on that. But I don't know any subbed games that are on Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know anything that requires a subscription that sits on Game Pass right now. Like, I would be okay with them getting the game itself for free, but they would need to pay the sub. I mean, it would give the leverage to Xbox if they included the game in the sub. In the Xbox.
I don't think Square would allow that anyways, because then they'd be getting like cucked on their.
Yeah, they'd be getting almost nothing for it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if I had any last little bits here. Oh yeah, obviously one of the biggest things that came from EU FanFest and from US FanFest was the expansion of the free trial. So if you haven't played Final Fantasy XIV yet, you now are expanded to play up to level 70, and that's through Stormblood. I think the only exclusions on the gameplay are you can't join a free company, you can't trade items with other players, and you can't do ultimates. But that's really it. I mean, it's great.
You are guild capped, but it's not too bad of a thing.
It's not like crippling, right? It's not a crippling guild cap.
I think it's like 300,000 or 30,000.
I don't know. It's I think it's more than that, because the creating a character on Dynamis gives you 1 million once you hit 30.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But anything you do in the game does carry over into it is a
for the
60 trial.
I thought,
don't know if that'll change.
I had messed with it a little bit. Yeah.
But anything you do in the game on your trial, when you get to the end of Stormblood and you convert, if you choose to convert to a full-time subber, it carries over, so you're not having to restart. And then for those who have played Final Fantasy and haven't played in a while, there's a callback campaign until December 14th. It's inviting players to come back, and any net new subs that come from that, the person who invites them is awarded 5 golden feathers.
Go check out your friends list. You can invite people back inside your friends list in the game.
And so 5 golden feathers brings them back. Each person that's invited also gets 14 days of gameplay. They get 10 silver feathers and 99 Aetheryte tickets. And honestly, the 99 Aetheryte tickets is almost worth $1 million in itself. Joking, of course, but with teleport costs being what they are, it is rather expensive. All right,
depending on where you're teleporting, it could be like 500,000.
Yeah.
Or no, 100,000.
Yeah, true. That's right, Rex. You can't use the market board.
Yeah.
So you have to purchase everything outright. I think that's where kind of the guild cap doesn't really matter, right? Because you're not like use of the market board is kind of like
you're not spending $2 million on a mount.
Yeah, you're not spending $2 million on a mount or having to buy gear for atrocious prices. You're gonna have to like get it from some other avenue. I do wish that because items are like when you wear them, they're soulbound, that you'd let like players, instead of trading guild, let them trade like armor and stuff. So like if I had a friend who was playing, I could give them gear, like get them into gear that was a little bit better. I mean, I understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, but it's kind of a pain in the neck, right? I mean, it's not a great look. Cool. All right. Well, that wraps up the news. Like I said, that was a bunch of old news from a few months ago, but I think it was big points relevant. I think the only one that was new news was the pizza emote that just came out. It's a kind of a big controversy. I remember doing that that Grubhub thing. It was kind of a pain in the neck, honestly. It was like, I think it was like what, after you did it, you had to wait like a week or two in order to get the key and whatever. It was between that and the Butterfingers $15 spend one. That one was another one that was a big pain in the butt.
The last time I was here for one of those was the white cloud for the Amazon one.
Oh yeah, okay. That was that put you back.
Yeah, it was like heaven's word. They added the yellow cloud one now. I think that one's on the store.
Yeah, the yellow cloud is on the Mog Station. All right, well, I think we'll dive into topic number 1, and that is the content drought. Can Final Fantasy make it through between now and Dawn Trail without losing a substantial number of its subscriptions? Gibbles, what do you got? What do you think?
I don't know. This is pretty big, and people have already been shouting about content drought just over the last half of this expansion, anyways, without even a 8-month window, 8 to 9 month window of nothing. Right? I mean, how long is this raid tier going to be? The raid tier. When did it drop? Is it going to be the raid tier for like a year?
Yeah, it'll be the raid tier for over a year.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of that's exacerbated by they swapped to the 4-month cycle from the 3-month cycle. Definitely. I think is a big thing that happened that's changed that.
And Abesos dropped on May 23rd of this year, so it'll be over a year of content on this particular piece.
Yeah, it's there's I don't know. There's always the doom singers, right? The end singers, if you will. Every single time we're at an expansion changeover. I mean, I could pull up a video from 7 years ago, and it's like it'll be labeled content drought, and it'll be like a Heavensward video, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like there's all the controversy that's been going on from a couple of YouTube videos. I'm not going to name names about it on here. Everyone knows. But definitely, I was watching a couple of things, and one of the things I had noticed that a lot of it I think is getting so. My idea on the content is that I have never run out of content in this game. I've played a lot. I have a lot of playtime. and I just never run out of content. So even with this like 8-month gap, I don't think I'm gonna run out. Even still,
Yeah.
I do understand there's a lot of people who are, and I feel like it's a lot of the people who play the game for one thing, right? There's a lot of people who are like, I'm only here for the rating. I'm only here for a Lolo, or not Lolo, the island, right? Or crafting.
Yep.
And I feel like that's causing some problems with it too. But I think some of the solutions they can implement probably is I think their best bet is just a bunch of events. What do you think?
Yeah, there's been an announcement that they've made that, I mean, obviously we have the 16 event, right? Which I can give my opinions on. I think it's gonna be okay, right? I think it's gonna be fine. But they're bringing back. I expect them to bring back the 15 event. To bring the car back into play again. You've got Fall Guys, which is good until December. Who knows when they'll bring that back again, right? They said that that's going to be an off again, on again content pull. I don't know if that means that like each, there definitely will be a Mogul Tome event. I don't know if that one will be massive, right? I think they're going to throw a bunch on that so that they can get people to continue to just like grind all that stuff out before Dawn Trail. But you've got, I think Fall Guys, they might change the arenas up every time they bring it through, like, so it won't be the same content routed over and over again. But who knows, like, right, they spend a bunch of time on that to kind of build it to what it was. I don't know if they're going to be able to push that off that far, or they have to at least refreshen it. I think we've been confirmed to get the Yokai Watch event again. So that's a bunch of mounts and a bunch of minions. If you haven't done that before, if you're a newer player and haven't done that, hasn't been around in a really long time. So that'll be kind of fun to bring that back a little bit. But I think ultimately, like, those of us that are capped, fates, just a bunch of fates, right?
Fates.
Yay, fates. I think that those of us that have been around for a while are fully capped 90. I know I have goals for Dawn Trail. I know the things that I want to get done. I know Gibbles. I've talked to Gibbles about that stuff. Like, I want to do full cap on my alts. But
I love fates, 100%. Yeah.
But I just don't think that the average player is going to be able to make it through.
Although everything is fates in this game, everything. I feel like they could definitely bring back something, if not the Makai event again, but something similar-ish would be pretty easy for them to implement. So a PvP event that's not necessarily the season.
You know what would be interesting, even though all this stuff is on the Mog Station, is if they bring back the 13 event from like way back when 14 was kind of created. I
actually don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, they had like the lightning from Final Fantasy 13 and all this stuff. It was like the very beginning of the concept of 14 coming out. They had this big like 13 event.
I actually do remember that. My dumbass was thinking of the 12, and then you said 13, but I thought the 12 for some reason.
Yeah. That's a good point, Rex. There is a chance that you can get the triple triad card tournament wins without having to really win, right? Because if nobody's on and you sit there forever, you just kind of win, if I remember that correctly. But yeah, I think they're kind of putting the onus on the FCs to build events for their players to kind of keep the time alive. I just don't think it's enough, right? I think you're gonna see a mass. I don't want to call it the lightning card. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Isn't it like a free pack, right? You have to get into one of the paid packs right now to get the lightning card. It moved the event from the tournament. Yeah. I think that it's going to be hard to not see. I don't want to say a mass exodus. I want to see probably a large sabbatical from a large number of people. I think you're going to see that if you're not already seeing it now. I know that there's a lot of players who don't do the 0.55 patch, and they save that for like the week before the X-Pack launches, so it kind of refreshes them back on the story. I've seen some streamers talk about how they are going to they're going to be shifting their time to they're going to be doing New Game Plus again to try to get new subscribers to come through and watch, because it's, you know, walking through the story again from start to finish.
Let's put up 6.5 into 2 patches. I mean, they've been doing that just in general with Endwalker, because they moved the content cycle from 3 months to 4. It's really not a 4-month content cycle; it's a 2-month, and they just split the patches into numbered and 05s.
Yeah, 655 is going to come out, I think they said early 2024.
One thing to think of, there was a trial specific to the FanFest. Do you think they're going to actually fully release it after the FanFest to the rest of the game?
Probably. I think that would be. Honestly, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that might add a little something to it. One thing I was thinking, because we're having we're having 8 months, right? It's essentially 2 content cycles. 2 patch cycles for the game. I mean, like, you could swing, especially with the way the story is right now, that they could want or need. I mean, it's unprecedented, but a 0.6, right? But
yeah,
that number would normally include another raid tier. That raid tier's, like, the story's done. I mean, like, I wouldn't be opposed to 16 raids, but that would include new tome gear, new, like, in general. That's a pie in the sky. I don't think that's gonna happen. But
yeah, I don't think you're bound to see that, because whereas most content for Final Fantasy has been like a preemptive preparation for the next game, like, they've kind of already said that this patch content has been to wrap up what was done from 2 through 6. So, like, I think you're going to see, like, a kind of a fresh start come 7.0.
I could also see like a 0.58.
Yeah, well, they've already slated a 0.58, because a 0.58 is when they'll unlock the alliance raids. So 0.58 has always been a thing, because they do the 655 to bring the second part of the MSQ content, and a 658 will unlock the alliance raids probably 3 or 4 months before the new game comes out, so that people can
the problem is that there's a lot of things that, like, if they could, like, throw something in. I mean, they've got, like, what, 8 months before, but, like, maybe a small team could whip something up in, like, 4 months. But, like, anything that they throw in isn't even gonna be a band-aid, really. It's gonna be like a piece of cloth you put on it. Because, like, what if they make a new V and C dungeon, right? They can't give another. It's gonna be a slide back on the rewards, what everyone has been yelling about, right? Because they can't drop another, like,
I also
tome
think
weapon
content
upgrade.
added is content taken away from 7.0, right? So, like, you have to look at this as, like, a balancing act of, like, anything that they pull development from the build of 7.0 pushes 7.0 back further, and in order to add more content, right? Which is, like, kind of the double-edged sword, right? You want more content between now and the X-Pack, but if you add too much content to the X-Pack, you take away from the live content that's going to be pushing through. What's going on, MJ? How you doing, man?
Yeah, it definitely breaks the like, if you're not paying attention to the FanFests and you've just been playing the story, and you finish 6.5 and you're like, okay, so the story's done and Kryl has a Smash invitation, like, what's going on?
Right.
100%. Like, and we're supposed to have all of the shoehorn for all of the story content to shoehorn us into the next one in just 5.5. That's kind of a big ask for that.
We're talking about we're currently talking about content drought, right? So we've got Final Fantasy has one more official MSQ patch between now and its next release of its game in summer of 2024. And then whether there will be enough in the game to keep people kind of satiated to keep subscribing, right? Because the ultimate goal in an MMO is to make money, right? You want people to subscribe so they play. Yeah, summer of next year. Yeah, so we got and they haven't given us like a time frame. It's just been kind of a, hey, it's, when it gets here, right? So it could be summer officially starts at the June 21st is the summer solstice. So June to like August, September is technically summertime that this content could come in. So I mean, we're well, it's June to August, I guess, right? June, July, August would give you.
It'll drop the day before fall. It'll be like what's
and technically they can't say that it wasn't summer because it's still summer, right? I mean, but yeah, so it's definitely one of those things. I'm gonna take that out. I'll block the stream elements pushes into the main chat so we can keep those out for next time. But it's definitely something that we need to like we need to worry about, like, for those people who are kind of up to date on content and current. That's going to be a huge deal to not have content between now and Dawn Trail. I think Dawn Trail looks fantastic. I think concept for Dawn Trail looks amazing. I'm excited for what it's going to bring. I'm interested to see some of the technical difficulties that are being brought up from like a fact that this is a brand new story. Like, we're not continuing on anything. It's a brand new story. But it's just one of those things. It's like, we'll have to see.
Yeah, and I feel like they're putting, I feel like they're putting a lot, like not all their eggs, but most of their eggs in one basket, kind of at this point, because they're like talking about putting like, I mean, I said explicitly, but Yoshi P is kind of hinted at putting like every single piece of content that we've had in every other kind of expansion, right? Like a diadem type thing for gatherers, an exploration area, a crafting zone, like it's the this garden restoration, maybe another second island or something like that. He keeps on like hinting at like all, like Dawn Trail's gonna have everything, but it's like we got this gap in between, right? Right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're kind of worried about.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, so I think that stuff's gonna be. I think it'll be interesting to see, right? You've got some people like streamers that haven't been to end-game content. They have plenty to do. Like, so like any of the streamers that I talk to that are just now finishing up Endwalker and that are like, they're worried about the content drought. I'm like, you have literally nothing to worry about with content drought, right? You can go back and you can play Savage fights that you haven't done and get the mounts and do the grinds. You can go back and do the trial, the EX trials, and do those. You can start doing Unreals if you want to. You can start doing current level Savage. You can start doing the Island Sanctuary stuff. You've got the VNC dungeons. Like, all this stuff is like right there for you, and you've got plenty of time. Some of us who like are keeping up with the story and we're getting these pieces a little bit at a time, and we've kind of finished them. Like, you have tons of stuff to do. Don't worry about it. You got Fates. You got all kinds of stuff. Talking about Fates, you can do the shared Fates to try to get that grind done.
What was the time between the Unreals? Like, we're not gonna get the next Unreal come 5.5. We're not gonna get another one. I mean, like, maybe we'll get one at the 8. Just keep things fresh, because I don't think people are gonna be like up to doing Thornton for 8 months.
I think that you will see something on 7.0 or 7.1 or 7.05. I don't think we're going to see another Unreal piece of content between now and then. Those are generally done on the hard number patches is when they change those up. So, I mean, you generally see 2 patch cycles before those kind of get brought up. Stuff that I would like to see. I mean, things that we're never going to see, right? I want to see a Kingdom Hearts crossover. That's never going to happen.
Oh, God, no.
It's just Disney has strangleholded that, and we're never going to see it.
I mean, they could just do like Riku in.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
the Beast Tribes do have a bunch of extra content you could do as well. It can cap out Beast Tribes. Look, there we go. More stuff, right? Stuff that we haven't talked about.
One thing I would think would be really cool is to make sort of. And I mean, like, this is something I kind of want to talk about. I'll probably talk about another time, like more in depth, and I might make a whole YouTube video on it myself. Is make a 4-man difficulty trial-esque thing. So like similar to like like the extreme extreme trials, but make it 4-man, but take sort of like Unreal, take final bosses from dungeons. Give me an extreme or a savage Fenrir or Mistbeard, or I'd hate to see the Kraken. The Kraken's been overdone.
Yeah.
But something like this, like I mean, this is a lot coming from me wanting a really cool epic anima fight. But I mean, like it could be 8-man. It could be it'd be interesting to have 4-man esque trial esque things. Just a boss fight.
I'm about to dump into an ad break in a minute and a half. I have to turn my ads off.
Okay.
So I think we got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think ultimately I think no, right? I think you're gonna see a big group of people leave. I think you'll see a number of people stay in preparation. Yeah. I think you're gonna see a number of people stay in preparation, but I think ultimately that it's gonna be a hard pass for some people to stick around. I've already seen a lot of people leave. Like we've had members of my FCs just kind of bounce because the content's just not engaging for them. And I think that's been like, I know Gibbles, you talked about some of that, like the Zeppelin stuff has been very like, everything after the 0.0 has been kind of garbage and it hasn't been great and it hasn't made me want to stick around.
I saw a video that was talking about that, and I think it made it a really good example of why people in that space are feeling that way. And that if you look at a lot of the previous expansions, the content that you got, well, one, it was every 3 months instead of 4, like I've said a couple times now. It was also kind of like you got like one big chunk of like stuff. Like you got like Eureka would take forever, right? But you just got Eureka, or you just like it, but it was a big bundle of it in Endwalker. Even though they've been spread out more, what you've been getting is like some island sanctuary. You've been getting a deep dungeon. You've been getting this. It's a lot of other. It's a lot of different content and not a ton of like one content.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, I think we hit that one kind of pretty hard. Great first topic. I think right now what we'll do is we'll take a quick 5 and we'll come back to discuss the second topic. I think the second topic is probably going to be our bigger topic, which is player griefing and cheating and all that stuff, all the hard hitting questions. So we'll be back in like 5 minutes.
We should just need like a not even that long of a loop either. Hey, Ralphie.
All right, give my camera a second here to kick on. Come on, camera, you got this. Come on.
I believe in you, camera.
I believe in you. There we go. All right. All right, welcome back, guys. We are going to move on to topic number 2, and topic number 2 is player griefing, player cheating. Is the blacklist enough? Kind of an all-encompassing topic. It's a pretty risque topic to be talking about because a lot of people have mixed feelings on it, but let's talk about cheating. So I think the funniest thing this X-Pack, I don't know if Rex knows anything about this, but the memery that happened in the new raids in P12 specifically, part 2, so they had the issue with Dragon Song where people were telescoping to try to figure out where the attacks were coming using an add-on to telescope, and then when they brought that to head and were dealing with that, it was the
first step in discussing cheating is
what do we actually consider cheating? So I think anything that benefits you in a positive manner that that deters other people from playing. So I think yeah.
So I think FF logs is I think is a good thing overall because knowing it improves the rating scenes like that. But then if you start to get into stuff that is like what happened in DSR, and I saw some people doing it in top as well, where you can see everything visually going on and there's extra tells and things showing up, or the extra telescope where you can see the effects coming in from outside the arena. That's definitely something that's gonna be cheating, right? And I feel like Square Enix's stance on no anti-cheat is definitely caused a boil of the frog in this whole topic, this whole thing. It starts with ACT and then it goes to housing mods and then it goes to your character appearance, and then you got auto crafting, and then now we have the game looking like WoW Mythic raids.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can drill this down a little bit easier. I think anything that gives a player a very clear advantage to the game, be it, advantage in DPS checks or getting higher parses or winning something that is required a certain number of times to be won in order for you to be able to get a title. Let's say the clipping and cheating issues we've been seeing in the new Fall Guys content, right? 100 wins gets you the King Bean or Queen Bean title. Anybody who's cheating in order to be able to get those wins, to me, is cheating. That's my form of cheating. I don't think that I know this is a hard stance, but I don't think that the use of add-ons that have no effect on anybody else other than the player themselves should be considered cheating, or the use of them should be banned. I think that as long as you're not using the data you receive from those to grief other players, I would say that, I think, to me, is cheating, or at least griefing for sure, right? I mean, that's kind of the big one for me. So
I think the big thing is malicious intent, right?
Correct.
Are you being malicious with these things, right? Are you using these add-ons, these tools to improve yourself and your gameplay and your experience with this game, or are you using it to try and force others to conform to you? Are you using them as
to
information
detract from another person's enjoyment of the game?
And I mean, that's true just in general of a lot of you can have that kind of conversation even without the cheating tools, right? People can still act like that outside of it, and even that's not allowed, right? It's still reportable, and I think we're gonna circle back to that later when it comes to the blacklist stuff.
Right. So I think the DSR stuff and the top stuff was really funny because if you guys were following any of the P12S clears, there's a telescoping feature in P12S Part 2. So the game actually itself will telescope out. So it kind of deterred the use of the telescoping, right? Because if you're going to telescope out and then the game's going to telescope out for you, you're going to see nothing on the screen. And that was kind of like the funny like meme of it all, right? That they were just like, it's not showing, like it's not coming through the way we want it. And, they're trying to deter that kind of use of add-ons to be able to create that clear advantage. I think along the lines of things like ACT, I don't have a problem with ACT, but again, as long as you're not griefing another player with it, or, I think it's a very constructive and helpful tool to help people become better if that's what they want to do, but I don't think it's something that you should use to put people down.
No.
Along the lines of cheating, I had a clip, but our clips haven't been really working tonight, so I'm not sure I'm going to play it tonight. I think we'll post it around our YouTubes, some of the clips that we're doing. Hey, Blinded! Hey, Chaos, how are you? If you guys are following Chaos, by the way, please do so. Planet Chaos is a great near and dear friend to us. They do our Savage Sunday raids with us, and does a dancer. We'll definitely have them on the channel at some point, or on the podcast at some point. I think we've got a episode lined up for Chaos and for Conjured Cow. And actually, a massive shout out to Conjured Cow. Everything you see in the UI and all of the transfer changes and whatnot, that's all thanks to Harley, Conjured Cow. So massive shout out to them. If you're interested or need any emotes or any kind of overlays or something, please feel free to reach out to them. They do commissions for that kind of stuff, and it all looks really, really good. So big shout out to Harley. Thank you so much.
They're currently at work, but they also stream, so go follow them.
Yep. Yeah, go follow them as well. Conjured Cow. We'll do some shout outs at the end for people who are here and some stuff. But yeah, I think a bigger piece of the pie that I would like to kind of discuss is the character or player griefing. So I know that there's a TOS violation for griefing players inside the game via game chat. Deterring them by trying to tell them how to play the game. That is against terms of service, and I think that's a very positive thing for the community, right? We don't want people being malicious about the way that they treat other players. I think it falls short is if you can very clearly show who is griefing from an outside perspective, and their in-game characters. I think that is something that Square should be taking action on. I know it's not a popular opinion because it's like it has nothing to do with the game, but you're using the game. I think you're using the game to treat people like crap in like Discord calls or in your stream or anything like that. I think that's something that we definitely that we need to take a harder stance on. I think us as players need to take a harder stance to not associate ourselves with people like that. I think it creates a toxic environment, and the only way to clean up the toxic environment is to just associate with those people. That's my personal opinion.
I feel like as a community, we've definitely gotten better about it, like overall. Because I remember in 2.3, my first the first time I maxed out my character, right? And I was doing Crystal Tower as a ninja, and I was brand new. I had the wrong gear on because I didn't realize that ninja needed dex at the time. That's a whole other thing. They shared gear with monks, so it was kind of confusing. But someone called me out in the middle of Crystal Tower saying like where like they were in another alliance, right? And they're just parsing the whole raid, and they started calling me out and stuff like that. And you'd have it in like dungeons, you'd have it in. I feel like I don't see it anymore really in like Party Finder or Duty Finder, like ever, just like blatantly. I run into it like very like occasionally, but I mean like occasionally now is like once every 2 weeks I run into it, which is still way too much. But back in the day, back in like Heavensward and A Realm Reborn, I'd run into it like every other day. Right. So like as a community, I feel like we've definitely done better, but I feel like there still needs to be steps forward on that.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, and I think a great example of kind of how we should be reacting to this, right, is Chaos, I apologize. I'm going to use our raid story as a way to kind of express, I think, how we should be properly running this through. So we had a situation where we were raiding P9 and we had a party finder group up. We brought some people in, and I think we got down to like 2%. And after the wipe at 2%, we got back into the fight again to be able to like go in. And one of the guys was like, we would have done better if somebody had picked up their DPS and they weren't the furthest one behind. And a bunch of us jumped on this, like, right? This is unacceptable behavior, in my opinion. This is the behavior that we don't want to see, where it's like, we're not completing this fight because other people aren't doing their job, right? That's not the point of the game. The point of the game is to have fun and push through. If you don't want to have fun and push through, I don't know why you joined Party Finder, right? Party Finder is what it is. It's just where it is. But we all jumped in and said, well, how would you know, right? How would you know that that person wasn't upkeeping their end of the DPS without some kind of a parsing tool, right? So I think, like I said, I like parsing tools because I think they benefit players if that's the tool that they want to use to better themselves, but I don't think it's the onus is on other people or random people to be telling people what to do unless they're asking for that help, right? So I think that's where like griefing can kind of be, or like telling players in the middle of a fight when to use their particular skills if they didn't ask for that information. I think that's another one that we've seen a lot of, where hey, use your thing here. I think if you're discussing like mitts before you pull the fight of like where you're going to place them, that's one thing, but like being mid-fight and telling somebody, hey, don't forget your standard step. Oh, hey, don't use shake right here. And you have no idea like that this is their first time or how they've introduced themselves to raiding. I think that kind of creates the environment where we want to avoid.
Yeah, definitely. Like use these tools for the individual or for your static as a friend towards each other, but not towards like random people, especially when it's unasked for, right? And I definitely feel like one thing that's really interesting to me that I just realized, it's dick measuring. One thing I just realized is that I feel like I've mostly seen it with dancers. I think that's just it's also kind of a thing that dancer just has low DPS in general, right?
They have low DPS, but they have a high DPS. Utility, which is why they... Yeah. They
have low self DPS, right? And I've seen people call out dancers the most, which I think is a really interesting thing that like maybe they should kind of like. These people need to check themselves anyways, but maybe they should think about like why they're always calling out dancers on their damage as well.
Yeah. I think the big one, so we'll touch a little bit on the blacklisting stuff because I think that's a big piece of it. I personally don't think that blacklisting goes far enough, right? If I blacklist a player, that player still has me in their friends list. If we were friends and I blacklist them, or if we were friends and I no longer wanted to be friends with them, then I could remove my friendship from them, but it still keeps the friendship on their side. I know this is the same for like weddings. Like if one of the partners in a marriage decides that they want to break it off, and they discard their ring, the other person still has access to the ring and still can teleport directly to them. That to me is like, that's not the right path in my opinion. I think this is a very wrong way to do it. I know that there have been some people using add-ons to basically make players that they don't want to see because they've been griefed by them disappear from their game. I think that's a more appropriate use of Square Enix's time when it comes to blacklisting, is that they just literally keep you from being able to see them in your game. I know that's a big lift.
Ghost them.
Yeah, I think so, Rex. I think in the RMT stuff, I think if you went back in your list, you would find that either those names, I can't remember what happens when a user is deleted in your blacklist. I think they just turn into, you have to clean it out once a week. I think they just turn into like no longer receivable or something.
Well, they should turn into like what they are in like your friends list, right? Which is
unable to retrieve.
Unable to retrieve. That's it.
Yeah. So you have to go in and clean out the unable to retrieve spammers, right? Because they end up getting banned, and so their characters are deleted.
Wait, because they're not deleting their characters; they just stop using them once they start to get caught.
Right. So it's interesting, but I think like I think they need to do better. I would like to see, if there's one thing I would love to really see in the game, and I apologize for reaching towards the camera, but if there's one thing I would really love to see in the game is like in order to limit how many users you put into, like, so like I like Gibbles knows this. I have three characters that I raid with, so at any given time I could be on any one of those characters helping out, given like who I'm helping out, when I'm helping them out. So like my main runs with my static, which is Tuesday Thursdays. I run with Kulodic Memers on Sundays using a character, and then my other character is a float character that I use to kind of help. Like if Gibbles wants to run clears on his ult, I can run that on Copycat. But I wish they would do, and this is, I literally will say this is the only thing I want to pull from WoW, with the exception of Transmog, which is a whole nother story, is I want to pull like a battle pass name that just tells the person what character they're in game, so that they could just invite those characters from a game perspective and have it as an overarching, like, hey, this user has these characters and you can pick through.
Yeah, I mean, friends lists are limited, right? But a system friends list / blacklist.
Yeah,
I think a system blacklist would be really nice, right? You blacklist someone and blacklist them on all your characters.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue, right? That Rex, because it's like if you block somebody from on your blacklist or put somebody on your blacklist, but the party lead of that PF doesn't, then they can end up in your game because that party lead can still be seen by the player. So it's one of those things. It's like that should be another thing that kind of spans the game as well, where it goes in and says anybody who's on any of these blacklists can't see this party finder. I think that the game could do better, in my opinion. I honestly think that they could do a better job of cutting out that kind of stuff. They have almost no. I had a friend who was getting griefed by an ex in game, and they had almost no recourse for them other than to tell them to move servers. Right? You should never be telling a player to move away from their friends in order to solve a problem with being griefed in a game. That's too much.
I actually had an instance of that. Personally, I ended up I unfriended, blacklisted, changed my character name, and changed servers to try and get away from you.
Whoops, excuse me.
Yeah, it was an ex that we had a massive falling out, and they played this game pretty religiously and had some friends who would show up at my house in game and where I had like the book and stuff like that, where you could like leave like comments. Right. They would leave a bunch of like hate comments and stuff like that in it.
It's just bad. Like it's bad form, right? Yeah, you like that's another thing, right? I think that they should expand the housing options to be able to only allow people within your friends list, right?
Yeah, friends. Yeah, like instead of like open and closed, they should have a friends only section. I mean, like every other video game ever, for like to join your group has a friends only, right?
Yeah, I think we'll end up doing an episode on housing in general, because I have qualms with the way housing is right now and how they could have done better. Hot take, right? I think that the Scions of the Dawn should have been an instanceable area that you could build out, and it would have been a base home for you. And if you wanted extra homes from there, you could have. But that's for another conversation. And I can go in more in depth on that. I think that'll be good, because I'm actually in favor of their original housing plans and stuff like that. And yeah. So I think like the housing stuff needs to be updated for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we blacklist. It needs to be expanded. It needs to be. I feel like blacklist needs to be system wide, not character wide. It needs to be more in depth on making sure that you're not interacting with these people, and it needs to be like just. I don't necessarily know if like removing off of your friend. I feel like probably this is the right answer, but I don't know if there's like instances where people are gonna like say like, oh no, I don't want that. Of like if you remove someone off of your friends list, it should remove them off of theirs as well. I feel like that's generally a good thing. I don't know if there's anyone who has an example of not wanting that.
I think a combination of like, because if you did like what you did, right, where you unfriended, blacklisted, and then moved to another server, if they still know what your character name is, theoretically they could find you again, right? With a more unique name, you're easily findable. And I think that like being able to remove somebody off your friends list and then being able to do like a name change would keep them from being able to find you as easy.
Yeah. Oh, and that's why I did change my name too.
Right.
Yeah, 100% blacklist needs to be expanded, the functionality of it, and then you do more to stop griefing outside of like even outside of like raids and content, right? Because there's going to be a large portion of this game is roleplay and just people chilling in Limsa or whatever they're doing, right? Just G posing with each other. And if there's any kind of controversy in that, it's harder to deal with those people that way. And while if you blacklist them, I believe you can't see their chat, but the person next to you can. If you're talking to someone, you're trying to make a new friend, and this person's actively griefing you, they can walk up and be like, "Hey, this person, blah blah blah," and like cause a whole problem with them.
Right. Yeah, I think we'll end up doing like a really good episode on housing where we talk about those kinds of things. But yeah, I think the housing situation could literally be solved in a pretty fast instant. I think they just use their old spaghetti code to kind of think that they could do it, and I don't think it ended up working out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of did. Well, they sort of did, right? So, just to touch on that subject, they made it so that somebody couldn't own multiple FCs. So I mean, you can't tell an FC that they can't have as many members or as little members as they want. That's just not how like the game's gonna work. And I don't agree with telling like having to have a certain number of members in order to be able to purchase that. If you got money and you've got a group that wants to build a FC house, then I'm all for it. I know of people who own almost entire subboards, subsections, just from like between like having a personal house and a free company house on each of their characters before the fix. And I think that's a problem, right? I think this particular person was actually buying people out of their houses and buying people's FCs. So I think like that stuff is like I don't agree with. I remember
back in the day that was the only way you could get a house. You had to just buy it off of someone.
Yep.
Essentially, like
unless you wanted to sit there for forever.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, even then, you were like lucky if a house even opened up. I remember, like, I'm talking like heavens were days where every single house was taken in every single ward, and the only it was rare one would drop, but there was always like one or two for sale on the Party Finder.
I also think that the housing in general needs to, and we'll discuss this again on our housing episode. Housing in general needs to be a step-up program, in my opinion. I think you need to start with a small and then move to a medium and then move to a large. I don't think that like with the new lottery system that people should be able to jump directly from smalls to larges or not having a house at all to a large. I think that's I don't agree with that, right? Some of us went through the times where it was you had to stand in front of the post and try to ping it until you get to the right spot, and you know
I spent 36 hours on one.
It's monotonous and dumb, but I think that a step up program would kind of give, you know, small house owners an opportunity to kind of move themselves up if they wanted to, and then like entry level would bring you into kind of a smaller home.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good answer for that too.
Yeah.
I remember at a time people would relocate instead of buy plot to cheese the wait timer.
Yeah, because you could instantly reload, right? If you had like that was the joke, right, Joy? Like Housing Savage was a one-time thing, right? You dealt with Housing Savage, and then once you owned a house, you were free and clear to move wherever you wanted, right? If something was open, even if there was a timer, you could bypass the timer by just reloading into it, right? That's sort of kind of what I'm talking about, right? So being able to go from like a step-up program where you get in the door, but it's something a little more like, hey, you've had a small, now you can go to a medium. You've had a medium, now you can go to a large. Like that kind of a program to me, I think would be more well met than those that are just like jumping directly into larges, because some of us that have been like bidding on mediums with smalls for the last 6 months, you get somebody who just has never had a home just walk in and take it, right? It's just one of those things. I mean, not nowadays, right? You're putting a lottery bid in and you're just waiting for the bid to come out, but I think you see a lot less people that were like, I'm only buying a medium. Well, why don't you get a small? And I recommend this. Like Hovia, I was watching Hovia's stream the other day, and they were about to buy an FC house, and somebody was like, well, why don't you just get a medium? And I was like, why don't you get a small? Because then you can get like in there, you can get your subs started, you can get your
literal gated community.
Dear FC, all paid
and
a paid
extra
housing
sub.
award.
Keep up the ports.
Yeah.
Build a wall.
The ports. They
Alright, Pokemon, calm down.
Yeah, no kidding. Like they were like, why don't we go for a medium? And I was like, well, the mediums are hard to get, right? You're gonna have like 30 or 40 people bidding on the mediums. Why don't you get a small, let people get their FC room set up, get the subs and the and everything else set up, and then move into something like a medium. Once everything's been set up and you have time to move and you're not waiting, like you could be waiting months to get a medium, right? I mean, granted, the benefit of being an FC and trying to go for a medium is that you can have multiple people bid on the same house. And only one of them wins. So like or multiple people all bid on different plots.
Yeah, on that, I'm in Dynamis. There's still wards that aren't open. Yeah, they're in the game. You can go in and there's like 5 wards you can just go into. But none of the houses are available to buy.
Most of them are FC wards, aren't they?
I don't think they're listed as either FC or personal. There's unpurchasable. They're just 5 wards that you can just go into. And you cannot buy any of the houses. I'm trying to so hard grind out like 120 million gil so we can have like 3 FC members bid on a large whenever it opens up. But I mean, like, I also remember the time I was always mad at anyone in Heavensward or Rumborn, anyone who owned a personal like medium and up. If they had a personal large, I like hated them. I was actually mad at them. Like, no, leave those for the FCs. You can buy a small. You can deal with the cottage, but I mean, like, that kind of mentality's done and over with the ward split a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think it's split technically. Well, I guess it depends on the server, but I don't think it's split near enough. I mean, like,
Dynamis is completely split, right? Because it's
right. I think it's only like 9 FC wards, and then the rest of them are personal and FC capable.
Are they personal and FC capable? I thought it was only personal. It's whatever.
Yeah. Some of them are personal and FC capable. Some of them are personal only, but some of them are personal and FC capable.
Yeah. Who used to play this game but hasn't in years? Who own a large house? Yeah, I mean, like, they shouldn't
do it
own it anymore, but unless they like log in like once every like 2 months to make sure they don't run out of their housing timer.
Yeah, I think we'll see some kind of an announcement for a new housing ward come the JP FanFest.
I'd love for old Charlian housing.
It's not gonna be old Charlian. It'll be either hot take. I'm gonna point it out right now. Hot take. It'll either be Crystallarian or it'll be Garlean, and they'll do. If they do Garlean, they'll do a firmament type deal where they have you go in and repair it, and they'll just have another like firmament type activity.
God damn it! That freaking. You wish you had this plot. Oh my god. I want Smileton housing. That's another thing I was thinking of, was like moon housing. I feel like there'd be moon housing before there'd be Crystarium housing, because there are no, like, people live in if you go into the back of the Crystarium, you can see these like long hallways of like essentially like motel rooms, like hotel rooms, and that's where everyone stays in the Crystarium, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think you could do Yulmore housing. But I think you're going to see... Yeah. I think the more logical is that you're going to get some kind of a Garlean restoration. And it's going to,
I could definitely see Garlean restoration as the crafting thing. Like instead of Ishgard restoration, a Garlean one for Dawn Trail. That'd definitely be a good ad for that.
But yeah. I don't think I think we kind of diverged a little bit, which is fine. But
Oh yeah.
do you have any topic things for the last little bit?
Let me just look at my notes real quick on the griefing. Oh, you know what is one thing that's really interesting? Have you actually gone through any of the reporting process for anyone?
It's a big, kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest.
It is
you
a
have to take
pain in the butt.
screenshots and provide screenshots and.
Well, like even
Can't
like
imagine a
finding
console player.
the reporting is like excessive.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I've had to like someone's in limbs and like, hey, I just had like a really bad incident. Can someone tell me how to report? I don't know how. And I have to like support desk to contact us to report harassment, right? Report cheating, whatever. And like it's so out of the way and kind of hard to find.
Yeah, it is kind of a pain in the neck.
I kind of feel like there should just be like in your system menu. There should just be like a report.
Or like clicking a player should give you an option to be able to report that player.
That as well, yeah.
Yeah, it is a bit of a problem. It's almost like the game is griefing you not to report people, right?
The devs being like, I don't want to deal with this, so don't
want to deal with this.
Why are you guys reporting this person? I don't want to deal with it. Oh, God.
Yeah. So,
leave Yoshi P alone, guys.
Just leave us alone, guys. Yoshi P's busy. He's got 2 games he's working on.
This is for RMT. Oh yeah.
Yeah, RMT is super easy to report.
Yeah, even with like full receipts and stuff like that. Like I had I was doing I don't remember what I was doing. I think it was Diamond Weapon or something like that. And these people I was with just like they would spawn and run off the edge. And they and then you'd res them and they'd take the res and they just run off the edge. And I tried to report them and like I don't think anything ever happened with it.
Yeah, I do want to shout out, thank you to the 5 users who are currently watching on the YouTube page. That's super awesome. If you're not following the YouTube page, it's in a bunch of the shout outs that I did in other people's Discords, but it's youtube.com/beardsoflight. So youtube.com/@beardsoflight. Please join there. The more we can get people in on the YouTube page, the easier it will be to actually be able to snag a Beards of Light name without the @ symbol. So I think we need a certain number of users, but please jump over there. We will also be taking these, and I think Gibbles is going to chop them up for us, and then we're going to throw them up onto Podcastle, which will allow you to be able to watch and listen to them on your favorite podcast service. I think the base services we're looking at is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
Yeah, this VOD should be available on YouTube afterwards, right? You
Correct. It'll be available directly afterwards.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna make highlights and some YouTube shorts and stuff like that on the Beards of Light, and then we'll be posting it on the actual like podcast stuff if you just want to listen.
We'll also be putting up some of the shorts onto the TikTok page, so we can get that one up to 1,000. We can get some people watching on that as well. We'll pull that in.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up episode 1 for us today. I do want to thank my co-host Gibbles today for having a great discussion, and I think every time we jump into your Twitch page, we start having a discussion, and Harley has to remind us that we have to save some of the stuff for the podcast, that we can't continue to have our hot take conversations. Some of them we'll actually bring back up. I think the gear one is definitely one we're going to be talking about. A big shout out to everybody here who's been watching. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the dawning episode of Beards of Light. This thing kind of ran fast track, right? We talked about it and we're kind of like, do we want to do a podcast? Would we have enough to do a podcast on? And I think we do. I think we got some good episodes lined up. We're planning for the future. So definitely excited for what all that's going to bring. Gibbles, do you want to kind of mention out your schedule, like when people can find, where can people can find you and see you next? I know some people are watching from your Twitch page right now, but
I stream on at Twitch on Twitch at twitch.tv/GibblesDestruct. You can find me on YouTube. I'm trying to post there weekly. It's a lot of hot takes. Today actually went live a video of me talking crap on exploration zones, because apparently all my videos are just hot takes. But yeah, and you can I'm live Monday through Thursday at about 6 p.m. and then on Saturdays and Sundays I go live about 10 a.m. This is all Pacific time, and Saturdays and Sundays I usually go really long. Sundays, me and Kula, we raid on at 6 p.m. Pacific. We didn't do P9. We almost cleared it. We were in LC2.
We almost cleared P9. Yeah, we got through almost through LC2. It was good fight.
Yeah, we got 2 more people to get P9 clears, and then we can start working on some P10 a little bit too. But yeah, and then do you have your schedule worked out?
Yeah. So we have obviously the podcast on Mondays, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I raid with a mid-core group. We call ourselves the Cuisine Team, and we're currently progging P12S. So we do that twice a week. This week's gonna be a little weird with the holidays. I think we're progging tomorrow, and then I'll be doing my Wildcard Wednesdays, which is my Wednesday stream. That's a non-Final Fantasy stream. Right now we're doing Baldur's Gate 3. I think my expectation is I hope to get through Baldur's Gate quickly. I think I've been doing some offline play, and I'm just to kind of get myself rolling in the gameplay. But I want to do Hollow Knight after my 24-hour stream.
Hell yeah.
So I'll play some on the 24-hour stream and then take it into my wild beard nymph emerges from the forest. Nice.
If you watch my YouTube videos, I record them all in the woods. So
yeah. And then Fridays are my days off. Saturdays we do a D&D campaign, which that was super duper fun last week. So those who tuned in, thank you guys for coming in. I think we went pre-hype train before we even started campaign, which was kind of cool. So a lot of fun there. And then Sundays, obviously, yeah, we're Coolotic memeing with chaos. So in both real chaos and blinded chaos, right? So it's been super duper fun.
Chaos.
I think just as a shout for next week, our next week's episode, let me pull what we kind of have worked the title to be. I believe it's the new player experience. So we have our first guest on our next week's stream is Wraith of the Nine, who is super excited to be on the podcast. We've been talking it up, and he's kind of excited to be part of that conversation. So episode 2 is new player experiences versus like what the new player run is through like ARR and things that they've adjusted, and those of us who went through the old super long drawn out extra 60 quests through ARR have kind of burned us into like just paying for the skip on all of our alts, right? And then being a Final Fantasy 14 streamer, the differences between a Sprout coming into it and working their way through the game full stream, and some of us who started streaming late in our Final Fantasy 14 gaming careers, where we were already doing endgame content, how that is different, and being able to compel audiences to watch us do endgame content versus those that are going through the emotional pain train that is Final Fantasy 14, and being able to have people kind of leech off of that. Our last topic for that one will be actually a great one that MJ will hopefully see next week, is features that we would really like to see in the game. So we kind of discussed some of them tonight, of things that we kind of would like to see, but I think like things that aren't in the game that we think that should be in the game. I think Rex, you kind of touched on simming. That would be another good one that would be super good. Being able to run the fights through without having to worry about damage, just so that you can start seeing the mechanics to kind of get yourself in the right place.
I saved a good feature for next week that me and Rex came up with the other day.
Yeah, so I think great. It's gonna be a great episode. Like I said, I've talked to Wraith pretty regularly, and he's super excited about being a part of it and being in the thing. And I think we'll show off some clips from Wraith before he jumps on. I've got some good ones. I pulled some real good ones to play for him. He's got some pretty amazing hot takes, and if you're not following Wraith of the Nine, please take the time to do so. He's a great bean. But I think that is gonna wrap up episode 1. Gibbles, unless you have any other comments, I think we'll wrap up.
No, I don't got anything. Really?
All right. And I think different from what we normally do. I know Gibble sometimes just end stream, but I normally raid out. We are not going to raid out today. We are just going to end stream tonight because raiding between both of our accounts is going to be chaos. Oh, yeah. So we are going to end stream tonight. Whether Gibbles chooses to get on again after this, it's up to him. But I'm going to be
doing a tell retell. I don't know if I'll get back on stream or not, but if you guys want to hit me up and add a Mantoys to do some tell retells on the Unreal, I'll be there.
Nice. So I might be around on game for a little bit, but thank you guys for tuning in for episode 1, and we will look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take it easy.
Bye.